So, piracy. We all know that video game publishers, video game makers, the studios, they really hate piracy, and for obvious reason. But it turns out an actual government of a country is now coming out and saying that piracy and fighting piracy specifically needs to be a priority of their government. Basically, the private and public sectors kind of need to come together to preserve these video game IPs, among many other things, basically to boost its own economy. And this is Japan. Now, when we look at this, I'm actually not kidding, it's called the New Cool Japan Strategy. It's the actual name of it, by the way. So this came out a couple years ago in 2023, and there is specifically this section right here that talks about media. It's very clear that they see media, specifically video games, as a dominant factor in their ecosystem. When you look at their economy and specifically their exports to the rest of the world, this is how they make money. Video games are a very, very big part of that. Well, you see, that brings us to this automaton article right here that I just came across. This was a message by the Japanese government to immediately boost support for video game, anime, and manga industries and crack down on piracy. So this comes from the Keidanren, or the Japan Business Federation. It says this is one of the nation's largest and most influential business lobbies. So it's kind of a source through a source. I don't have the actual message they sent out, but basically on October 6th, just 4 days ago, they reached out to a lot of their sources and they issued this quote-unquote urgent message. And they say this comes from this source called Otaku Soken, so I've linked that also in the description. Here is the article. We see right here they talk about the New Cool Japan Strategy, as I mentioned earlier, and again they kind of set the foundation that video games and media protection, specifically protection of IPs, is something that the Japanese government, they're saying, is a very important thing going forward, and that is especially so in this urgent message. So it sounds like a big part of this message was about fighting piracy. So it says they are seeking measures to combat piracy and support for localization of manga, support for training new staff at animation studios, and support for investment in digital technology, support for the development of game titles, increased incentives for attracting live action and drama filming locations, and international co-productions, and support for large-scale overseas live music tours. Now, this is translated, by the way, so this is kind of just one big run-on sentence. But you see, like, actually how big this really is. They're wanting to support not just video games, but all types of media in Japan. And as I said earlier, they kind of want to merge these private and public sectors. And maybe merge isn't the right word, but they want the public sector to support the private sector. I really should be saying that. And yes, specifically it says they cited strengthening measures against piracy, among many other things. So basically, the Japan Business Federation, in this urgent message, they are sort of saying, hey, the media in Japan, anime, manga, games, they are now extremely valuable. In fact, they are now worth more than Japan's semiconductor exports. Yeah, believe it or not, I'm reading that right now. And basically now more than ever, the government needs to support these IPs to basically not lose ground to foreign competitors. If we don't support these industries now, we could lose our edge against these competitors overseas. And I think this absolutely makes sense. I mean, they are wanting to turn these cultural exports, I guess we could call it, these creative industries into much more than that. Definitely like huge parts in Japan's economic situation. So this message, it really says a lot. The question is, how specifically are they going to implement these anti-piracy measures?